In the cold expanse of space, a blip on the radar at the International Space Monitoring Station in Geneva marked the beginning of a new era. Dr. Lena Kovic, the head of the monitoring team, stared at the screen, her brow furrowed. "Enhance the image. Is that a meteor?" she asked, tapping commands into her console. Her assistant, a young aerospace engineer named Tom, shook his head. "No way, that's moving too deliberately. It's a spacecraft." The room buzzed with a mixture of excitement and apprehension as the object approached Earth, slowing and entering a stable orbit. Before long, governments worldwide were alerted, and global defense alerts soared to unprecedented levels. Amidst the chaos, Jack Carter, an ex-military strategist now working as a private security consultant, received a call from his old friend, General Abrams. "Jack, you seeing this?" Abrams' voice was tense over the phone. "Yeah, I'm watching the news now. What's the play?" Jack replied, his mind racing through various scenarios. "Meet me at the Pentagon. We need you, Jack. This could be big." At the Pentagon, a hurried meeting convened with top military officials and communication experts trying to establish contact with the mysterious visitors. Jack sat quietly at the back, observing the frenzied efforts. Finally, a transmission crackled through the speakers. The message was clear but unsettling. "We are the Vextrani. We seek dialogue with your leaders." A global broadcast was set up. World leaders appeared side by side to address the alien presence. A united front that was rare in politics. The Vextrani ship activated a screen, and a figure appeared, humanoid but with translucent skin and piercing silver eyes. "I am Cyril, a representative of the Vextrani," the alien began, its voice calm and measured. "We come in peace but with a purpose. We intend to settle on your planet. Non-compliance will not be tolerated." The room erupted in whispers and murmurs. Jack leaned over to Abrams. "Their weapons, the way they approached, it's all too aggressive for a peaceful mission." Abrams nodded. "We need to prepare, but quietly. Let's not show our hand yet." Over the next few days, as negotiations stuttered and stalled, an incident in a small European town changed everything. The Vextrani, growing impatient, demonstrated their power by aiming their weapons at a local militia that tried to resist. The beams of light that shot from their devices were unlike anything Earth's military had seen. But instead of destruction, the weapons had no effect. Humans were somehow immune. News of the incident spread like wildfire. Jack was called back to the Pentagon. "Looks like we have an advantage," Abrams greeted him. "Seems so, but why?" Jack pondered, his mind racing with possibilities. "It doesn't matter why yet. What matters is that we can fight back," Abrams replied, a strategic gleam in his eye. As they strategized late into the night, Jack realized that this was just the beginning. Earth was not just defending now, it was pushing back, and he was right at the center of it all. The game had changed, and humanity was not just a player, but a contender. The world was in a state of high alert. Jack Carter sat across from General Abrams in a secure conference room deep within the Pentagon, maps and digital displays illuminating their intense faces. "We've got to act fast, General. We know their weapons don't work on us. It's our only edge right now," Jack stated, tapping on the screen that showed satellite images of Vextrani forces gathering in strategic locations around the globe. Abrams nodded, his eyes scanning the data. "I agree, we need a coordinated response, but we must also consider the global panic. We can't let fear dictate our actions." The door swung open, and in walked Dr. Lena Kovic, her face weary but her stride confident. "Gentlemen," she greeted, "I've been analyzing the Vextrani tech we managed to secure. There's something about the biosignatures that seems to be the key. Our immunity could be tied to something genetic, or perhaps something environmental. We're still figuring it out." Jack leaned forward, intrigued. "That's promising, Lena. Keep at it. Meanwhile, we need to start forming a resistance. We can't sit back and hope diplomacy will work. It's clear the Vextrani aren't here for peace." Abrams agreed. "Jack's right. I've got contacts in NATO, and Jack, I need you to rally the civilian sectors. We've got plenty of veterans and volunteers who don't trust the Vextrani one bit and are ready to fight." With the plan set, Jack departed for New York, where a large resistance force was gathering, fueled by the revelation of their unique immunity. Upon arrival, he was greeted by a diverse group, some military, others civilians, all united by a common cause. At their makeshift headquarters, a warehouse near the docks, Jack addressed the crowd, his voice echoing off the metal walls. "Listen up. The Vextrani think we're easy targets, but they're wrong. We have something they didn't plan for, our immunity. We're going to use that. We're going to protect our home, our families, and our future." The crowd erupted in cheers, the air charged with determination. Among them was Mira, the Vextrani Jack had encountered, who opposed her species' aggression. Her presence was a shock to many, but her desire to help was genuine. "Mira has information that can help us," Jack announced, noting the suspicious glances. "She's risking her life to be here. Let's use every advantage we can get." Mira stepped forward, her voice steady. "The Vextrani leadership is divided. Not all of us believe in conquering others. I can provide intel on their strategies and weaknesses." As they strategized into the night, Jack felt a camaraderie build among the group, a mix of cautious hope and resolute bravery. They planned their first major act of resistance, a sabotage mission on a Vextrani supply depot. Before dawn, Jack led a team equipped with stolen Vextrani weapons, adapted for human use. They moved silently through the shadows, reaching the depot undetected. The operation was a success, setting the stage for larger resistance efforts. Back at the warehouse, as they celebrated their victory, Jack couldn't help but feel that they were part of something greater. This was just the beginning. With each small win, they were not only defending Earth, but also defining the spirit of humanity. Jack's journey from strategist to leader was rapid but necessary. As he looked over the faces of those ready to follow him into whatever came next, he knew they weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their right to exist on their terms. And with each act of defiance, they were slowly turning the tide. Jack Carter stood overlooking the operations map lit by the glow of multiple screens in their now fortified command center beneath New York City. The initial victory at the Vextrani supply depot had ignited a fierce determination within the ranks of the resistance. "We need to capitalize on our momentum," Jack announced to the assembled group of leaders, including Mira and several key figures from other allied resistance cells. The room buzzed with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. "Here's the plan," Jack began, pointing to a digital map. "We've identified 3 key Vextrani outposts. Each is crucial to their control over this region. We strike simultaneously at dawn. Mira, your insights have been invaluable. What can you tell us about their defenses?" Mira, who had grown increasingly comfortable in her role among the humans, stepped forward. "The Vextrani rely heavily on their tech for surveillance. However, they underestimate ground tactics. If you approach from the east through the old subway tunnels, you'll avoid their main sensors." A murmur of approval went through the room as they considered her advice. Lina Kovic, who had been working tirelessly on understanding the alien technology, added, "We've also adapted some of their weapons to create EMP devices. They should disable their electronic defenses long enough for our teams to breach their perimeters." As the meeting adjourned, Jack pulled Mira aside. "Thank you, Mira. I know this hasn't been easy for you." She nodded solemnly. "This is the right thing to do, Jack. My people have lost their way. Helping you might be the only way to correct this course." Before dawn, Jack's team, along with 2 other units, moved into position. The coordinated attacks were risky, requiring precise timing and absolute silence as they navigated through the deserted, crumbling subway tunnels. As they neared the first outpost, Jack signaled to his team. Lina's EMP devices worked flawlessly, casting the outpost into darkness and silence. They breached the perimeter, surprising the alien guards who were unprepared for an attack relying on such primitive tactics. The fight was intense, but brief. Human determination proved a formidable force against the disoriented Vextrani. Within hours, all 3 outposts were secured, a significant blow to alien operations in the region. Back at the command center, the success of the operation spread a wave of elation among the resistance fighters. Jack addressed the crowd, his voice resonant and clear. "Today we proved that we are not just survivors, we are warriors. We must continue to fight, to push them back, to reclaim what is ours." His words stirred a fierce cheer from the gathered fighters. Mira watched from the sidelines, her expression a mix of pride and sadness. She approached Jack as the room began to clear. "What's next, Jack?" she asked, her voice tinged with a cautious hope. Jack looked at the map, his finger tracing the lines that marked the boundaries of human and alien-controlled areas. "We keep moving forward. We strategize, we strike, and we take back our planet, one outpost at a time." As they prepared for the next phase, the bond between humans and their unlikely alien ally deepened. The resistance was growing stronger, more organized, and more determined. The tides were indeed turning, and Jack Carter found himself at the heart of a burgeoning war for Earth's freedom. Aki Carter's victories against the Vextrani outposts had sent ripples across the cosmos. The news of Earth's resistance and the unique immunity of humans to alien weaponry reached other civilizations under Vextrani control. These revelations brought unexpected visitors to Earth. Diplomatic envoys from two oppressed alien races, the Thulans and the Serafi. In a hastily arranged meeting in a secure underground facility in Switzerland, Jack and his key advisors, including Mira and Lena, welcomed the extraterrestrial delegates. The air was tense with anticipation and the weight of potential alliances. "Greetings, I am Tharic from the Thulan Assembly," introduced one of the envoys, his skin shimmering like the surface of a star. "And I am Sarah from the Serafi Council," said another, her voice melodious, echoing slightly in the chamber. Jack nodded respectfully. "Welcome to Earth. We've heard of your struggles against the Vextrani. Perhaps together we can turn the tide against them." Tharic's voice was deep and resonant. "Your resistance is impressive. We have been fighting the Vextrani for decades with little to show for it. Your immunity to their weapons could be the key to changing our collective fates." Sarah added, "Our technologies complement each other. What we lack in defense, we make up for in stealth and infiltration. Combined with your immunity, we believe a joint offensive could be decisive." Lena was quick to engage. "We're eager to learn from you and integrate what we can. Mira, perhaps you could coordinate between our groups to facilitate technology sharing." Mira nodded, her expression serious. "Of course. Understanding each other's capabilities and weaknesses will be crucial." As the meeting progressed, plans began to take shape. A joint command was established, with Jack leading the military operations, supported by Tharic and Sarah in logistics and intelligence roles. Back at the command center, Jack briefed his team. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. This is a battle for freedom across the galaxy. The Thulans and Serafi have suffered as much as we have. Together, we'll make the Vextrani regret ever coming to our solar system." The preparations for a combined offensive took weeks. Earth's forces trained with new alien technology, adapting it to their tactics. The Thulans provided cloaking devices that made ships and soldiers nearly invisible, while the Serafi offered advanced reconnaissance drones that mapped out enemy positions with startling accuracy. One night, as they reviewed battle plans, Sarah approached Jack with a holographic star map. "We've identified a weak point in the Vextrani's galactic communications network. A coordinated strike here could sever their command and control capabilities, giving us a significant advantage." Jack studied the map, noting the location. "It's a gamble, but if it works, it could give us the opening we need to push them back on multiple fronts." The day of the operation, dubbed Silent Thunder, arrived. Earth's forces, alongside their new allies, launched a synchronized assault on the Vextrani communications hub. The battle was fierce, with the outcome uncertain until the very end, when the hub was successfully destroyed. In the aftermath, Jack and his allies gathered to assess the impact. Reports flowed in from various sectors. The Vextrani were in disarray, unable to coordinate their forces effectively. "This is a major victory," Jack announced to his team, a rare smile crossing his face. "But it's just the beginning. We keep pushing, keep fighting. We've shown them we're a force to be reckoned with." As they prepared for the next phase, the bond between the Allied forces grew stronger. The Earth had become not just a battleground but a beacon for freedom fighters across the universe. With new friends and renewed hope, Jack felt for the first time that they might just win this war. As the alliance between Earth, the Thulans, and the Serafi strengthened, Jack Carter realized the necessity of a decisive symbolic victory that would inspire freedom fighters across the galaxy. The target became clear: Unity Bridge, a massive space structure used by the Vextrani as a command center and supply route linking several conquered systems. Its capture would sever Vextrani supply lines and cripple their operational capabilities in the sector. The Unity Bridge is more than a strategic asset, it's a symbol of Vextrani dominance, Jack explained during the briefing with his commanders and alien allies. "Taking it down will send a message that the tide is turning." Tharic, representing the Thulans, nodded in agreement. "Our stealth ships can bypass their outer defenses, but the internal security will be robust. We'll need every advantage we can muster." Sarah, from the Serafi, added, "Our intelligence suggests that the Vextrani have underestimated the potential for an attack in that sector. We have the element of surprise. Let's not waste it." The plan was complex, requiring precision and coordination among diverse forces. Human squads would infiltrate the bridge under the cloak of Thulan technology, disabling key systems and creating chaos. Meanwhile, Serafi pilots would engage the Vextrani fleet, drawing them away from the bridge. On the eve of the battle, Jack met privately with Mira. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "Once we start, there's no turning back." Mira's eyes were resolute. "It's time to show the universe that the Vextrani can be beaten." "I believe in this, Jack. I believe in us." As the operation commenced, Jack led the ground assault team, maneuvering through the labyrinthine corridors of Unity Bridge. The resistance fighters moved silently, their paths illuminated by the soft glow of alien technology. They reached the main control room, surprising the Vextrani operators before they could mount a defense. Above the bridge, the battle raged fiercely. Seraphi and human fighters darted through the chaos, their movements a ballet of destruction against the Vextrani armada. The explosions of starships lit the darkness of space like new stars being born. Back on the bridge, Jack's team fought with a ferocity fueled by the knowledge that the eyes of the universe were upon them. They secured the control room, and Lena quickly began to override the Vextrani systems. "We're in!" she shouted over the din of battle. "Starting the shutdown sequence now!" With the bridge's defenses disabled, the Allied forces converged, overwhelming the remaining Vextrani troops. The bridge was declared secure hours later, the Alliance's flags planted firmly on its decks as a clear sign of liberation. In the aftermath, Jack stood on the command deck of Unity Bridge, looking out at the stars. The victory was more than strategic. It was a beacon to oppressed peoples everywhere. "This bridge is now a bridge to freedom," he declared to his cheering soldiers. The victory at Unity Bridge was a turning point in the war. News of the defeat spread rapidly across Vextrani-held territories, igniting uprisings and bolstering the morale of suppressed civilizations. The Alliance had proved not only that the Vextrani could be defeated, but that unity among diverse beings was possible and powerful. Jack's leadership was now celebrated more than ever, but he knew the war was far from over. Still, as he watched the stars from the bridge, he allowed himself a moment to savor the victory, knowing it had changed the course of the conflict forever. Following the monumental victory at Unity Bridge, the morale among the Allied forces was higher than ever. Jack Carter, bolstered by recent successes, was now considered not just a resistance leader, but a galactic figurehead for the fight against the Vextrani. With the enemy destabilized, it was time to strike at the heart of their operations, their mothership, a colossal structure orbiting a captured planet at the edge of the Vextrani Empire. The Vextrani mothership isn't just their command center, it's their symbol of power, Jack explained in a strategy session, surrounded by his top advisors and alien allies. Taking it down will not just cripple them, it will shatter their morale. Sarah of the Seraphi and Tharek of the Thulons both nodded in agreement, aware of the stakes. "Our combined fleet can handle the outer defenses," Tharek proposed, "but the real challenge will be inside. Their elite forces will be formidable." Jack turned to Mira, who had been quiet, her thoughts seemingly distant. "You've been aboard their mothership before. We need your insight." Mira looked up, her expression serious. "The mothership is a fortress, but I know its vulnerabilities. There's a secondary docking bay, less guarded but still accessible. It could be our entry point." Plans were drawn, and the operation was set in motion. The Allied fleet, a mix of human, Thulon, and Seraphi forces, approached the mothership under the guise of a large-scale assault on the outer defenses. Meanwhile, Jack led a select team of commandos in a stealth shuttle, navigating through debris and cosmic dust to reach the secondary bay Mira had mentioned. The docking was tense but successful. The commando team, including Jack, Mira, and a handful of others, disembarked in silence, moving through the dimly lit corridors of the massive ship. Every step took them deeper into the belly of the beast. They encountered resistance. Vextrani guards, startled by the intrusion but quick to react. The hallways echoed with the sounds of gunfire and alien weaponry. Jack and his team pressed forward, utilizing every tactic they had learned in the past months. Mira was instrumental, guiding them through less patrolled routes, ever closer to their objective, the central control room. After what seemed like an eternity, they reached the control room. Inside, they found the Vextrani commander, surrounded by his aides. Jack stepped forward, his weapon trained on the commander. "We don't have to do this," Jack said, his voice echoing in the charged silence. "End this conquest. Let's find peace." The Vextrani commander, tall and imposing, considered Jack for a moment. "You think you've won because you've come this far," he hissed, "but you underestimate the resolve of the Vextrani." It was clear then that there would be no surrender. The room erupted into chaos as a skirmish broke out. Jack and his team fought with desperation and determination, knowing the outcome of this confrontation could end the war. Finally, after a fierce battle, the Vextrani commander was subdued. Mira quickly worked to disable the ship's primary weapon systems, effectively neutralizing the mothership as a threat. With the control room secured and the commander captured, Jack communicated the victory to the Allied fleet. Cheers erupted across the communications channels. Earth and its allies had delivered a crippling blow to the Vextrani Empire. As they returned to the Allied fleet, the weight of their victory began to sink in. The Vextrani were now without their central command, their fleet in disarray. It was a turning point in the galactic struggle, a testament to what unity and determination could achieve. Back aboard the lead ship, Jack looked out into space, the stars seemingly brighter now. They had taken the heart of the enemy, not just to defeat them, but to pave the way for a lasting peace. As they set course back to Earth, there was hope that the end of the conflict was in sight. After their daring assault on the Vextrani mothership, Jack Carter and his allies returned to Earth, now a rallying point for resistance across the galaxy. With the Vextrani command structure shattered and their leader in custody, discussions turned towards peace and the reconstruction of liberated planets. Jack convened a council comprising Earth's leaders, Thulons, Seraphi, and representatives from other liberated worlds. They gathered in the United Nations building, which had been restored for this historic assembly. As we negotiate the terms of peace, we must ensure that this conflict never repeats itself, Jack addressed the council. His voice, steady and serious, filled the room. The Vextrani Empire has fallen, but what we build from here will define the future for all our civilizations. Mira, standing beside Jack, spoke next. We have a chance to create a galaxy where no species dominates another. The Vextrani can be part of this future too, as equals, not conquerors. Negotiations were intense. The liberated planets demanded reparations and security guarantees. The Vextrani, humbled but wary, sought assurances for their own protection. Jack found himself mediating, striving to balance justice with mercy, retribution with forgiveness. During a recess, Jack stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the city, now peaceful under the setting sun. Sarah joined him, her expression thoughtful. You've done something remarkable, Jack. You've changed the course of history. Jack sighed, looking out into the distance. At great cost, Sarah. Many lives were lost. Families were torn apart. We must build a future worthy of their sacrifices. As the negotiations stretched on, a consensus began to emerge. The new Galactic Alliance would operate on principles of mutual respect and shared governance. The Vextrani would disarm their military forces but maintain autonomy over their homeworlds under strict surveillance to prevent future militarization. When the treaty was finally signed, it was broadcast across the galaxy. Beings from hundreds of worlds watched as former enemies shook hands and spoke of a shared future. Jack stood at the forefront, not just as a military leader, but as a symbol of a new era of galactic cooperation. In the following days, Jack worked tirelessly, setting up transitional governments and supporting war-ravaged communities. He traveled from planet to planet, not as a conqueror, but as a peace builder, helping to heal the scars left by the war. One evening, as he returned to Earth, he visited a memorial for the fallen. Names were inscribed on vast slabs of stone, a solemn reminder of the war's toll. As he walked among the rows of names, he paused at the section dedicated to those who had died at Unity Bridge. Touching the cold stone, he felt the weight of every decision he had made. Mira found him there, her presence a quiet comfort. They won't be forgotten, Jack. None of them. No, they won't, Jack replied, his voice thick with emotion. This peace will be their legacy. Our duty is to safeguard it. As they left the memorial, hand in hand, the stars above seemed to affirm their resolve. The galaxy was watching, its future unwritten but full of potential. The cost of peace had been high, but the promise of a new beginning was worth every sacrifice. The peace treaty marked a new beginning for the galaxy. With the Vextrani military disarmed and a galactic council established, Earth transformed into a hub of interstellar diplomacy and cultural exchange. Jack Carter, once a military leader, now found himself as an ambassador for Earth, fostering relationships between humans and alien civilizations. Jack's office in the newly built Galactic Alliance headquarters buzzed with activity. Today was the inauguration of the Interstellar Cultural Exchange Program, an initiative close to his heart. As he prepared his opening speech, his aide, a young woman named Eliza, who had joined the resistance in its early days, approached him with the latest reports. Everything's set for the ceremony, Jack, Eliza said, handing him a digital folder. Delegates from 73 planets are here, and they're eager to see what Earth has to offer. Jack smiled, pleased but mindful of the responsibilities. Thanks, Eliza. Make sure the translation systems are double-checked. We can't afford any miscommunications today. The ceremony was held at the Grand Assembly Hall, where Jack took the stage, greeted by applause. Today, we stand together not as victors and vanquished, but as equals, Jack began, the assembly hanging on his every word. This exchange program symbolizes our commitment to understanding and respecting our diverse cultures and histories. As the applause faded, Jack introduced representatives from the Thulans and the Sci-Fi to speak about their cultures. Mira also shared insights into the Vextrani heritage, emphasizing their desire for redemption and peaceful coexistence. The event was a resounding success, with art, music, and traditions from across the galaxy showcased. Earth's cultural offerings, from classical music to contemporary art, were received with enthusiasm and curiosity by alien visitors, who in turn shared their own rich histories. In the weeks that followed, Jack's role took him across the galaxy, from the lush forests of Seraphi Prime to the floating cities of Thula. Everywhere he went, he spoke of unity and cooperation, building alliances that went beyond mere politics to include science, art, and education. One evening, back on Earth, Jack visited a viewing platform overlooking the city, now lit by both the setting sun and the lights of ships coming and going from the spaceport. He was joined by Sarah, who had become a close advisor and friend. "Look at all this, Jack." Sarah gestured towards the bustling port. Who would have imagined such a scene a few years ago? Jack nodded, his eyes reflective. It's beyond what I had hoped for, but it's only the beginning. There's much more to do. Sarah smiled. With you leading the way, I believe the best is yet to come. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky darkened, revealing the stars in a peaceful orbital dance of satellites and ships. Earth had indeed become a symbol of hope and a crossroads for the galaxy, proof that even the deepest wounds could heal. Jack looked up at the stars, thinking about the road ahead. Challenges remained, but he felt ready to meet them, guided by the lessons of the past and the promise of the future. This was not just a new chapter for Earth, but for all civilizations looking towards a peaceful horizon. As he turned to leave, Jack felt a profound sense of accomplishment and optimism. Earth, once on the brink of conquest, was now a beacon of unity. In the quiet of the night, he realized that this was his life's work, not the battles or the strategies, but the bridging of worlds. This was his true calling, and as he walked back to the headquarters, he knew that the dawn of a new era was just beginning.